Stoneworks is an extremely complex community full of thousands of people and hundreds of nations, each with their own unique history and lore. It's honestly very confusing and way too much for a single person to understand. Therefore, today, I'm going to try to explain at least some of that to you guys, and the first thing of that is going to be the war between Tiberia and Sahriya, which is still going on right now. Just a little disclaimer, first off, I'm not an expert. I have not even been playing on this server for 6 months, but I did do a lot of research to make sure I'm giving you guys accurate, factual information that you can use. So now I have to give you a little geography lesson too, because some of this stuff is a little weird. First off, this part of the Tiberium looks a lot like Wisconsin. Does anyone else see this, or is it just me? Because it looks like a lot like Wisconsin. You even see the little part of Michigan over there. It just shocks me. And here, the real geography lesson is that this area in white is Tiberia, the continent, while these areas are the Tiberian Commonwealth, which is a nation. This is an important distinction that will become important later on. Now that I've shown Tiberia, I'm going to show you the other part of this war, which is the nation of Sahriya. You can see it's split into two parts, a northern part and a southern part. And the southern part is actually its original land. It has its homeland, it has its capital. Meanwhile, the northern part is where this conflict is going on, because the nations of Tiberia view this place as a colony, as an invasion by Sahriya, while Sahriya feels that it's rightfully their own land. And that has kind of led to a back and forth conflict, which recently escalated into war, because as we all know, accusations of colonialism and nationalist sentiment always end well in peace and cooperation. Since this is a Minecraft server and there's not a lot of ways I can verify the information I get, I'm going to give you both sides of this story so you can understand it. In addition to preserving it for posterity and just making sure you can decide on your own, this is just going to be the best way for me to make sure I'm not leaving anything out. So first off, the perspective of Sahriya. So, little history lesson here. Sahriya is a religious union between the nations of Gerasa and Caranthia. I'm sorry about the pronunciation. I speak English, this is very hard for me. Okay, little side note here. The wiki is amazing, and sometimes on the left you guys make amazing stuff. Like the flag of Sahriya makes so much sense. You can clearly see that it's a union between Caranthia and Gerasa. But on the right, as an English speaker, I have trouble pronouncing that word. And I just cannot understand what you're doing with that. And this isn't an isolated quote, as you can see in the screenshot. There is like a bajillion words that I have no clue how to pronounce. Please, someone make a pronunciation guide to all this stuff. So, way back when, Gerasa had made claims to a lot of this land, along with Caranthia, and so when Gerasa became part of Sahriya, the land claims also went to Sahriya. It's that simple, that straightforward, that's how they view it. Okay? While the other nations disagreed with this, they completely believed that this was their land, and thus fighting to protect it was completely justified to them. Okay, now on to the perspective of the Tiberian Commonwealth. So the citizens of these nations settled much of the continent, building their homes and establishing their nations and culture. And then came Gerasa, who invaded, from their point of view, invaded their lands in safety, claiming the land as their own, in a pattern of behavior which continues today under the nation of Sahriya. The people of Tiberia view Sahriya as unwelcome invaders who have taken over great swaths of land on the continent, posing a threat to stability and practicing a form of aggressive expansion which they view as colonialism. The nations of the Tiberian Commonwealth feel threatened by this, and they thus want to force Sahriya off the continent and form one great Tiberian nation. This movement to unite the whole continent of Tiberia under the Tiberian Commonwealth is called Pan-Tiberianism. Back to Sahriya's aggressive dialogue. As I said before, they've made a lot of aggressive claims, but they've also said some things which, no matter how you look at it, don't really seem like they make that much sense. They've called a lot of people squatters who may or may not be squatters, but I can see that from the point of view of Sahriya. They are squatters, they're living on their claim. I can see that. From the Syrian point of view, it's justified. Then there's some more aggressive dialogue, like calling people pedophiles, which is just completely unjustified. I mean, this is a Minecraft server. We're trying to have fun here. But calling people pedophiles, really? That's just not something you should be doing. This is supposed to be a fun experience for everyone, and when you sink that low, it just ruins it. But whether or not this actually should be something we should be fighting wars over is something for you to decide. Okay, next thing, war aims. This is what's going to come out of this conflict. If Sahriya wins, they will likely hold on to their land and force Tiberia to accept that territory is a core part of Sahriya. The Tiberian Commonwealth, meanwhile, they want the opposite. They want to, again, take that land under the pan-Tiberianism movement and put it into their own Tiberian Commonwealth so that they can have that great nation that controls all of Tiberia. The future. So at the time of this video, the fight is ongoing. I believe the Tiberium has taken a slight advantage in the fighting. My real questions for the war are, is the Tiberium, as a coalition, is it able to come together and effectively fight Sahriya as one great nation? Or will just people slack off? Will the other nations say, oh, this isn't over in my area, I'm not going to fight? That's something we need to focus on. Sahriya, meanwhile, they have to decide. Do they really want to fight this war over these lands? Are these lands valuable enough to them? Or is it just a matter of right versus wrong? Are they going to fight it just because it's right or wrong? Or do they think these lands are so valuable they need to fight for them? Okay? And then we also have to consider what's going to happen either way to the people who live in these lands after this conflict finishes. If, say, Sahriya is forced off the continent, where are these people going to go? Are they Tiberian or are they Sahrian? They live in Tiberia. Will they stay in their homes or will they go back to Sahriya? And more importantly, will the Tiberium force them out? Those are just some questions we need to think about for the future. Such a wonderful day. I guess I'll just look at the Reddit for Stoneworks. Oh, look at this. Oh, such an interesting thing, so important to my video. Let's see what it's all about. Oh yeah, I like that poster, looks very good. Wait a second. What is that? So yeah, just about the time I finished this video, someone decided that they were going to finish up this conflict for me and just surrender. I'm so frustrated by this. I was almost done and now I have to make a part 2. Anywho, so sorry, surrendered. Yay, I guess the fighting's over. But there's a few things that haven't been wrapped up yet. You see, in their surrender, they do give a good bit of land over to the Tiberium, but not all of it. And so when I look at this post, I'm like, so the whole war aims of the Tiberium was to take over all this land, and you only give them a part of it, and you give the rest of it to another empire. Yeah, this is going to end up perfectly fine. Don't worry, nothing bad at all is going to happen. Be a shame if someone told them about this in a YouTube video.
I got 7 Mac 11s, about 8, 38s, 9, 9, 10 Mac 10s.